Cheng Xue travels through time, rises 2 levels in a row, gets married and has children. 2 children and 2 daughters are waiting to be fed, and the calculations within the clan are yet to be clarified. The difficult mode begins. Fortunately, with the help of allies, gender matching, and clear division of labor. The woman manages the household, raises children, and saves money, while the man reads books, takes exams, and takes the imperial examination. Just when she felt that she could retire and travel mountains and rivers, a decree was issued, and her allies gave her a good future. How can I get there? Do you want to leave? I didn't even want to let you go. Don't want to let it go. Then go to sleep. Keywords of the novel. Dressing up as a spicy wife in a rural household, busy farming with her cubs without pop-ups, dressing up as a spicy wife in a rural household, busy farming with her cubs. Download the complete text, dressed up as a spicy wife in a rural household, busy farming with her cubs. Latest chapters for reading. Chapter 1. 2 consecutive levels of promotion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. 2 consecutive levels of promotion. Cheng Xue was awakened from crying. Looking at the crying baby beside her, she struggled to sit up, unbuttoned her collar, picked up the child, and let it suck. A series of skilled operations made her dumbfounded. Although she is a doctor and 26 years old this year, she is a yellow flower girl who has never even experienced her first love. How could she have experienced these things? She remembers the natural disaster in Sea City and was assigned to the 2nd Assault Team to rescue the severely affected areas. Later, an aftershock occurred, causing large pieces of cement slabs to fall from a height. Oh, I understand. She has been hit and crossed. It is written like this in online articles. As the child suckled, scenes of her, but not her experiences, came crashing wildly. In her spare time, she watches online articles and dramas to pass the time, but watching them doesn't mean she wants to experience them firsthand. Nowadays, God not only allows her to experience it, but also allows her to be promoted 2 levels in a row, get married, and have children. It's really amazing. The original owner is the same age as her and is the wife of the Li family. At the age of 4, he fainted at the entrance of Wanghe village. He was rescued by the Li couple who had returned from outside and was raised by his side, following the surname of Mrs. Li's mother. Yu is 2 years older than her husband Li Hui, and can be said to be both a daughter-in-law and an elder sister. She is one of the most capable daughter-in-law in the village, taking care of both at home and outside. Li Hui is the only son in the family, who has been studying since childhood and has a unique talent. At the age of 10, he passed the entrance exam as a child student and made a remarkable achievement. Unfortunately, in the same year, his parents fell ill and passed away, so he suspended his imperial examinations while observing filial piety. After 3 years of filial piety, he suddenly contracted a malignant disease. You spent countless money to save him, but in the end, Yao Shi had no spirit and could only marry and celebrate, which was enough to keep him. After that, Li Hui fell ill every time he passed the imperial examination, and Yu Shi ran around for him to find a doctor. Looking at both actual and deficiency diseases, the silver blossoms like flowing water, but the effect is not at all. Until the beginning of this spring, Li Hui fell ill again, and the couple finally gave up on scientific research and became farmers. The two have 2 sons and 2 daughters, with their youngest son and 4 eggs in their arms, not yet in June. The eldest daughter, Daya, is 9 years old this year. Roughly speaking, the original owner gave birth to offspring at the age of 17, and gave birth every 3 years. Looking at the little thing in her arms that fell asleep at an unknown time, Cheng Xue placed him on the Kong and lowered her head to tidy up her clothes. Since it's here, I'm not sure about it, but there's always a lot of tricky trouble to deal with. Dong Sanhua, what's wrong with my dad? Sob. Dad, wake up. Sob. Don't cry, iron egg. Help your third uncle open the door. The conversation in the yard interrupted her thoughts, and soon Dong Cheng carried Li Hui in, followed by Guo Dake and the 3 children of the Li family. These two grew up together with Li Hui and his wife, and their relationship is very good. 3-year-old Arya ran over with a cry when she saw her mother. Mother. Afraid. Arya is afraid. Cheng Xue bent down to pick up the child, imitating the original owner's state and gently coaxing. Be good, don't be afraid, Mom is here. The ancients believed in the power of ghosts, gods, and monsters. If the core was found to have changed, waiting for her would be cremated. This is not a joke. Guo Dake settled Li Hui and gasped slightly, saying. Don't worry, younger siblings. Huizi is fine, just knocked unconscious. The doctor showed him and said he would wake up soon. Smash unconscious. Isn't he counting at the forest farm? Cheng Xue was puzzled. The longer you wake up, the deeper the fused memory becomes. Li Hui gave up the scientific examination and took the initiative to go to the Haoshan forest farm, where he volunteered. There are not many scholars in the north, and it is considered good for a town to produce 2 scholars. Therefore, as a child-born student, he easily obtained the task of counting. The work is neither dirty nor tiring, with a monthly salary of 201, which is considered a high salary in the barren north. So, whether in ancient or modern times, reading is the best way out. But he was carried back in less than a month. What's this called? Dong Cheng took out a piece of broken silver and placed it on the Kong, explaining in detail what had happened. Originally, this counting task had always been temporarily replaced by Li Qingyan from the same village. This year when Li Hui went up the mountain, he could only return to his old profession. Logging. Naturally, he felt unhappy, so he deliberately overestimated his daily report. The wages of the forest farm are linked to the quantity, which Li Hui couldn't tell when he first arrived. Today, the shopkeeper found out during an audit. My younger siblings also know that Li Qingyan's father is the leader of your Li clan, and the big shopkeeper wants to give him some thin noodles. Originally, the big shopkeeper meant to correct the accounts and give a private warning, and even if this matter was brought down, Huizi refused to do it. In anger, he went up the mountain to argue with Li Qingyan. At that time, while logging, Li Qingyan's withered calf intentionally led Huizi over, and then our Huizi was smashed. These 2 taels of silver were given by the shopkeeper, to be calculated as his wages and compensation. The forest farm is not suitable for Huizi. When he wakes up, let him do something else implicitly, the counting job has been lost. Li Hui is a talent who harms 500 enemies and causes 1,000 self-harm. Cheng Xue felt quite helpless and nodded bitterly, saying. Thank you 2 big brothers for bringing him back. He will be fine another day and invite both of you to come home for dinner. He won't stay today, the mountain is busy. Guo De can see that she is still as strong as ever, and he thumbs up in praise. Huizi's marriage to you is really his blessing. I heard that there is a person surnamed Gung in Pingyang County who has a good external health condition and can take him to see him when he has time. If he gets admitted to the scholar exam, your family's good days will come. Okay, I'll take it down and take him after this rush. Speaking, he placed the 2 girls in his arms on the Kong and saw them off. When I closed the gate, I felt overwhelmed and my heart was racing, as if I was about to die the next second. Time travel only temporarily saved her life. If she wants to live for a long time, she must seek medical treatment and take medicine as soon as possible. Inside, Tai Dan and his sister lit a fire in the outer room, while Dia wiped Li Hui's face in the inner room. It has to be said that the original owner raised the 3 children very well. While Dia went out to pour water, she examined Li Hui's wound. Except for a lump on the left posterior brain, no other external injuries were seen. Without instruments, I can only feel my pulse with my hands. Fortunately, she chose to take traditional Chinese medicine while studying, otherwise she would be a hero with no place to play. So the things of our ancestors cannot be lost. Her pulse is fine, on the contrary, she needs to take her medicine as soon as possible. There is no silver available at home for her to see a doctor, except for the broken silver she just received. In recent years, Yu's family has only sold 30 acres of dry land and 15 acres of paddy fields, as well as the newly harvested grain this year. Grain cannot be sold, there is no panic in the heart. Get up and take out a box from the bottom of the box, which contains the things that Yu sure wore when she fainted. A pair of red gold bracelets, a red gold collar, and a piece of high-quality white jade. From this, it can be seen that Yu's identity is not simple, but in recent years she has no intention of returning to her ancestors. Firstly, I cannot bear to part with my child, and secondly, I cannot bear to part with Li Hui. The marital relationship is excellent, and everyone in the village knows about it. Why did Mom take them out? Thea asked as she walked up to her. Cheng Xue regained her senses and shook her head lightly, saying, "It's nothing, I'm a bit uncomfortable and want to treat them like medical treatment. Just go see a doctor and sell the land. These are my mother's dowry and cannot be moved." Thea refused and snatched it away. "Anyway, our family has been thinking about our land. Let's sell it. Liang Yen has a clear regulation on women's dowries, which only belong to women and her husband's family has no right to interfere." End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Pattern. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Pattern. Cheng Xue understands the child's thoughts, but she does not agree with selling land. Old farmers are based on land, which can generate money. These dead things cannot generate money. Also, being a scholar, farmer, and businessman is not just a talk. Good child, I understand what you mean, but things are still more important than land. On the other side of the Cook clan. Don't worry about the clan, my mother won't let them come to the house again to ask for anything, Cheng Xue solemnly promised. Dia saw her mother's persistence and finally returned the things. Then let Iron Egg and Mother go to town. I don't trust Mother alone. Put the money that Uncle San gave me just now into your pocket, and we'll have a poor and prosperous family. Okay, when my mom comes back and buys you delicious supplements, you've all lost weight. After you fell ill, Dia took her younger brother and sister to the ground every day to collect firewood. Busy for days, my already meaty face is even slimmer. If you give them a mother, you have to bear the responsibility and cannot shirk it. Feeling the exquisite patterns on the jade pendant, thinking about it and putting it back in the box. It's not that I'm reluctant to pawn, but mainly because I'm afraid of getting into trouble during the pawning process. Although Liang Yen was a new dynasty, many rules were still preserved. Men are revered, clan chiefs are in charge, and objects are used according to their rank. After packing the things, the two women walked out of the room side by side. At the moment the door closed, the man with tightly closed eyes on the Kong finally opened his eyes. He actually woke up long ago, pretending to sleep out of caution and observing in secret. My original wife doesn't know medical skills, so I think the female doctor has traveled like him. After all, he had protected her under him at the time, and he had already come. She had no reason not to come. Wanhe village is only 2 miles away from Shushan town, but Cheng Xue walked and stopped for a full hour before entering the city. Find a decent pawn shop nearby, put the things on the counter, and soon the waiter invited them to the small room on the east side. The room is not big, with 1 table and 2 chairs. Chao Feng sits on the side, and there is something she wants to pawn on the table. I don't know where the little lady comes from. What's the method? Deadly. Cheng Xue said as she sat down at the table. The things were brought by the little woman since she was young. Now that our family can't live on, we can only rely on them for a living. Upon hearing this, Chao Feng raised his eyebrows slightly and nodded slowly. How about 50 liang? To be honest, the bracelet and collar are not heavy, but the good thing is that the carving is exquisite. If I'm not mistaken, the young lady should have been from a wealthy family before. Upon hearing the words, Cheng Xue waved her hand and took the opportunity to deceive. The gentleman also said once, "Let's not mention it. If it weren't for the difficult times, I wouldn't have taken it for granted. Could you please give me a real price? We will come and go frequently in the future. Don't worry, I will definitely not let the gentleman be busy in vain. They are all smart people, so keep talking." I intended to pretend to be weak and show sympathy, but now I can't use it anymore. After pondering for a moment, he gestured with a 7 gesture. I can't be the master of this price, no matter how much it is. I'm also here to work. From now on, as a young lady, I'll give you the most fair price. How about that? Sure, Cheng Xue said as soon as she saw it. The price difference between 50 and 70 is enough for a farmer to spend 10 years. She spared a few taels of silver to give him a kickback, and she also earned it, which was a good deal. Xiaofeng went out to collect pawn tickets, and Cheng Xue saw this thing for the first time. The pawn date and transaction amount are clearly written on it. She only needs to sign, press her fingerprint, and take some money. The attendant gave her 3 taels of silver copper coins and 10 taels of broken silver as per the thoughtful instructions given by the court. Cheng Xue also acted according to her words and quickly handed him 5 liang when her colleague was not around. Obviously, Xiaofeng did not expect her to be so generous. In shock, he personally escorted their mother and son out of the door and then lowered his voice, saying, "Young lady, there is a war going on in the south, and we will soon have to recruit soldiers. If you have a man of appropriate age in your family, you need to make plans as soon as possible." "Okay, thank you very much, sir." In ancient times, the news was closed, and if it weren't for her generous offer of silver, she probably wouldn't have been informed. At present, conscription has nothing to do with the Li family. Li Hui is a child and Tai Dan is only 6 years old, but it will become related when Tai Dan and Si Dan grow up. The soldiers of Liang Yan are different from modern soldiers in terms of treatment and status. She has no ability to change this afterlife, but she has a way to protect the child. Since Li Hui cannot bear the hardships of life, let's endure the hardships of reading. Being a scholar is once and for all, otherwise, taxes, corvée, and other forms of labor can cost lives in minutes. She doesn't believe that she will get sick every time she takes the exam. When she recovers, she will worry about that kid. It is impossible to leave, and it is even more unrealistic to escape. Liang Yan's control over the people is not inferior to modern times. Both going out of the county and going out of the prefecture must have a road guide. Without a road guide, one would be a refugee. The refugees either serve as soldiers or laborers, and life is not as good as death. According to memory, find Deji Hall, which is the best medicine hall in Shushan town, and the medical skills of the doctors inside are also top-notch. Hanging wooden plaques on both sides of the entrance. I only hope that people in the world are disease-free, not afraid of putting medicine and dust on the shelves. Think about the stickers on the windows of modern pharmacies. Every month on the 8th Members' Day, double points, buy medicine for 58 yuan or more and get 10 eggs as a free gift, medical equipment at a discount of 8% pattern. Iron Egg, who had been silent all along, suddenly grabbed her sleeve and whispered to her. "Mom, no matter how expensive the medicine is, take it later. If you don't have enough money, go home and sell the land. You can't stand it anymore." He is really scared. Since he had memories, his mother has been lively and energetic. "Even if it's difficult to give birth to 4 eggs, I'm not as weak on the road as I was when I came today. It is said that my son is a leather jacket, but he is not very useful. But her leather jacket is good, windproof and warm. Don't worry, my mother won't lose herself again. She's rich. Don't forget to pat your waist after speaking, there is more than 4 pounds of silver stored there." The clothes of Liang Yan are loose, and coupled with the fact that the original owner is very thin, it's hard to tell. She has already decided to take the medicine no matter how expensive it may be. Since she doesn't know how to go back to modern times, she will live her modern lifespan here. The longer she lives, the better. The result of the doctor's post-diagnosis was as she had anticipated, with a deficiency of qi and blood, a deficiency of yin and a cold body, requiring the use of strong medicine for regulation. Young lady, let me remind you again. Your prescription requires a lot of expensive medicine, and the minimum cost for one pair is 1 or 2 silver. Although it can be removed a little later, it will take at least 2 months to remove the root. Grandpa, let's have a recipe. It's so expensive that my mother can eat it. Before Cheng Xue could speak, Iron Egg answered first. The doctor ignored the child and stared at Cheng Xue without blinking. No wonder he hesitated. The clothes of the mother and son were too ordinary, and it was difficult for ordinary people to bear such an expensive prescription. Cheng Xue saw his concern and pretended to be helpless, saying, "There are 4 children to be taken care of at home, and the youngest is not yet in June. The little woman really can't afford to die. Please be considerate, sir. Please help me at your discretion." "Okay," the doctor nodded and lowered his head to write. Cheng Xue looked at the vigorous and powerful words, and she knew many medicinal herbs, all of which were targeted. The prescription was written, and the doctor boasted while saying, 7 pairs of medicine should be taken, once in the morning and once in the evening. After 7 days, the pulse should be checked, and I will make my own decision. When I go back, I will wean the child. You should also be careful not to tire, get angry, or worry. Yes, thank you very much, sir. Cheng Xue thanked and got up to the counter to collect medicine. Newcomers, new arrivals, please provide more support. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Ordinary people refuse to eat treasures for no reason. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Ordinary people refuse to eat treasures for no reason. 7 pairs of medicine, 7 taels of silver. Equivalent to 2.5 years of Li Hui's salary. No wonder everyone says, don't be sick if you have anything, and don't be without money if you don't have anything. The old saying is sincere and doesn't deceive me. Leaving the pharmacy, the 2 of them headed straight to Mao Hutong, a place in Shushan town that specializes in selling meat, fish, eggs, and vegetables. Farmers exchange eggs for money and come here as well. There are many stalls but not many types. From beginning to end, there is 1 meat stall and 2 fish stalls. Shushan town is close to the Songhua River, so the price of fish is very reasonable. But the price of meat is not good. 1 kilogram of pork belly is as high as over 100 won, even more expensive than when modern second senior brother was the most expensive. No wonder the ancients said that ordinary people do not eat treasures for no reason. At this price, most people really can't afford it. After asking, I realized that compared to modern feed pigs that can be sold in a few months, it takes at least 3 years for them to be sold here. The cost of feeding for 3 years is not cheap, so the price is naturally expensive. Many online articles state that pork offal and pork bones are cheap, and compared to pork belly costing over 100 won, they are indeed cheaper. Dogs that are picky about big bones are not willing to gnaw on them. Buy them for 90 won per kilogram, unless they have a brain pit. As for the pig soup, it came too late and was sold out early. After much thought, I finally bought fan oil. Meat oil can stir-fry vegetables, and oil shuttle can wrap fillings, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Thinking about the farming literature she has read, the female protagonist goes to the city to buy and sell. Looking at her now, she can't afford this one and can't bear it. Sure enough, people die compared to people, and goods are thrown away compared to goods. The willow root at the fish stall is fresh, and the fish is not big. It costs 10 won per kilogram and is cheap. You can go back and stew it in soy sauce or fry it in oil. I ordered 3 pounds, and it's good to see the silver carp. When asked about the price, it's 30 won. Choose the smallest one weighing 5 pounds. When paying, Iron Egg stopped drying and grabbed her sleeve, shaking her head desperately. Mother, having willow roots is enough. Don't buy silver carp, it's expensive. The child's understanding makes her heart ache. The Lee family has money, but all of it is used for medical treatment and medicine. In recent years, they have really lost 3 children. Squat down and look at him level, softly coaxing. Be good, just this time. Your sister, and your sister have been exhausted lately, so my mother will make up for it for you. Instead of using the money for medical treatment and medication, it's better to eat some good food to strengthen your body. But mother. Little doll, don't be fooled. Your mother is right. With money for medical treatment and medicine, it's better for us to eat fish. The fish vendor was afraid that business would go bad, so he helped to persuade, sister, don't put anything in this fish at home, just stew it. It's old and delicious. We'll add tofu, noodles, and cabbage for the second meal. Cheng Xue smiled and counted the money to pay, but Iron Egg couldn't resist and could only take the item. Don't be fooled by the fact that I'm only 6 years old, I have a lot of strength in my hands. I can easily lift 8 pounds of things. Mom, let's find a car to go home. Grandpa said Mom can't be tired. Iron Egg always keeps the doctor's advice in mind. Although he is stingy, he is very generous to his mother and family. There are 2 sugar stalls next to the car rental, and when asked about the price, only pumpkin candy is cheap. I paid for 5 tails, and the Iron Egg pouted very high, making it visible that I could hang 2 tails of oil bottles. Cheng Xue smiled and lightly poked his forehead. Are you so stingy? You can't bear to part with me at all. After breakfast, you go down to collect firewood with your sister, and then walk with me to the town. Are you hungry? I'm not hungry. Iron Egg sucked the sugar in his mouth and said, if I'm hungry, I'll go home for dinner. I'll be there by car soon, so there's no need to buy sugar. Okay, let's not do it again. Cheng Xue finished eating a candy and didn't explain anymore. Sugar is not sweet, not worth the price, but there is always better than nothing. Except for the spring plowing and autumn harvest period, Wanhe village eats 3 meals, while the rest eats 2 meals. She was also worried about low blood sugar in this body, so she bought it. It's a 2-mile journey and it's very fast by car. But the road conditions are not good, and the bumpy people feel nauseous. From a distance, there were many village women gathered under the willow trees at the village head. Cheng Xue didn't want to be conspicuous, so she added a copper coin to the coachman and requested to enter the village from the west. Having money is easy to handle, and the coachman not only happily takes a detour, but also helps to move things into the house before leaving. Cheng Xue entered the house and saw Arya and Si Dan sleeping on the kong. She put away the remaining silver and tiptoed out. Outside, Tai Dan had already explained the doctor's advice to Dia in detail. Sister, in the future, I will help you with things and let our mother rest well. Don't limit it to 2 months, just let my mother take care of her until the spring of the following year. Listen, this is her leather jacket, it's so windproof. Girl, where's your father? Dad woke up and went out. He said he would have a look. He had been walking for a while. My mother drank congee and rice soup. They were thick and fragrant. Cheng Xue took the bowl and Dia began to work on the side. Clean the plate oil, cut it into pieces, ignite it, and put it into a pot. Take advantage of this time to tidy up the fish, while still keeping an eye on the big pot. At the age of 9, which looks like 2nd or 3rd grade in modern times, the maturity displayed at this moment far exceeds this age. Cheng Xue is distressed. She opens the sugar bag and puts one into her mouth. She puts the rest on the shelf and continues to drink congee. She didn't stay much in the outer room either, she was just too tired. Go into the house and take a kong, lie down with 2 children, and rest with your eyes closed. In a daze, the piercing sound of the iron egg came through. No, you're not allowed to move. This is my belongings. Iron egg, please don't ask for smoking. This is the clan food that your mother promised to study for our Li children. Move aside. Wang Chuanhua and Qing Chuanhua, even if my mother agrees, we'll have to wait until my mother wakes up before we talk. Dia also helped to stop them. Li Qingchuan waved his hand and impatiently reprimanded. What can I do when I wake up? If I have to move, I have to move. Move away quickly, don't get in the way. Where did you get that beard? It's reasonable to move people's food. A calm and magnetic sound came, causing Cheng Xue, who was in a hurry to put on her shoes inside the room. This voice belongs to Li Hui, but in the original owner's memory, Li Hui wouldn't speak with such confidence. What do you mean, Huizi? Do you want to go back on your word? Qing Chuan, who can't do it, Huizi is not that kind of person. He is a scholar and a child, with a clear mind. Li Hui looked at the two people with red and white faces cooperating, he sneered. Don't wear a hat on me, I can't bear it. I paid for my family's food because I was studying at a school, but now I'm not studying anymore, and my son is not studying at a school. Why does my family still have to pay for my family's food? This. Li Wangchuan hesitated and didn't know how to take over. Li Qingchuan doesn't care about that, relying on his lineage with the clan leader and waving his big hand. Your family has a lot of land, who will pay if you don't pay? Besides, it was arranged between your daughter.in.law and Erbwa. Do you want to cheat instead? Who doesn't know that your family is like a rooster in the morning? Don't leave it here to pretend to be a big-tailed wolf. Cheng Xue, who was listening inside the house, cursed the original owner thoroughly at this moment. If it weren't for her indulgence, the appetite of the tribe wouldn't have grown so strong. The Li family in Wanghe village is a big surname, and there is a school within the clan. The children of the Li family do not need to be bound and repaired when studying, they only pay for their family's food. After Li Huizhong was born, he did not study ethnic studies. The clan leader came home under the banner of not being able to write Tuli, and the original owner continued to pay grain foolishly, and the more he paid, the more he paid. Now he pays 30 servings every year. She is truly the Holy Mother of Liang Yen. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Female Rooster's Morning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Female Rooster's Morning. Cheng Xue couldn't bear it anymore and pushed the door hard to come out. Li Qingchuan made it clear, who is the rooster in the morning. Li Wangchuan quickly tried to smooth things out and waved his hand, saying, No, you heard me wrong, younger sister. It's like this. Didn't you tell my second uncle that the clan food was ready? Coincidentally, Qingchuan and I have time, so my second uncle let us. Cheng Xue ignored Li Wangchuan and walked straight to Li Qingchuan, staring at him without blinking. Suffer from breast hyperplasia for a while, take a step back from uterine fibroids. I'm worried that I won't have a chance to get angry, but this fool took the initiative to come knocking on your door. How can I still get used to you? Answer me, tell me who the female rooster is mourning. Li Wangchuan. Oh, my younger siblings. You shut up. It's none of your business. Li Qingchuan, speak up. Li Qingchuan rolled his eyes and lazily spoke. What are you talking about? Aren't you the only one in charge of your family? Aren't you the one in charge? Oh, why did you scratch people? Li Hui. Take care of your wife. If she tries again, I'll fight back. Li Wangchuan didn't expect Cheng Xue to take action. Just as he was about to go over and fight, the clever iron egg hugged his arm and shouted, I'm afraid, Wangchuan uncle. The Yik grabbed his other arm and kept pulling back. The most shameless behavior of men in Liaodong is to take action against women, and it is still in public. So the siblings are not afraid of their mother's losses at all, because Li Qingchuan does not know and dare not fight back. I saw Li Qingchuan dodge left and right, and Cheng Xue kicked and scratched repeatedly, playing happily. Li Hui saw it almost and hugged the woman from behind, turning around to take her to a safe position. Cheng Xue also understood how to stop when he saw something good, and was ready to curse and end the official position. Unexpectedly, he was stunned by Li Hui's gesture. Except for her, all members of the 2nd Assault Team are members of the Tianying Brigade. Rescue efforts in severely affected areas require full armament, and communication relies solely on gestures. She barely remembered a few at the time, and among them was this, safety. I haven't heard that there is still a group during the time of travel. Where was he at that time and how did he come here? The shouting in the yard finally alarmed the neighbors. Quickly, many villagers gathered at the entrance of the courtyard, and everyone was dumbfounded when they saw Li Qingchuan with a bloody face. Oh my, how was it done? Who got into a fight with? Who's he? Qingchuan, what's going on? Who scratched it? Who else can there be? Li Qingchuan finished speaking, glaring angrily at Cheng Xue. Cheng Xue is not a vegetarian either. She covered her chest and fainted directly in her husband's arms. Xuanyang, what's wrong with you? Xuanyang. Li Hui instantly entered the scene and cooperated harmoniously. Only Iron Egg and Arya, who were unaware, let go of Li Wangchuan and ran over with all their might. Li Qingchuan felt inexplicable. Even though it was him who was beaten up, why did he still faint after hitting someone? Can Iron Egg Mother not pretend, it's you who scratched me? Li Hui picked up the person horizontally and strode out. When passing by Li Qingchuan, he stopped and said in a gloomy tone. My daughter-in-law needs to have some ups and downs, I want you to pay for it. After speaking, he hugged the person and headed straight to Dong Qingjia in the east of the village. His father Dong Lisong is the only local doctor in the village. The villagers originally thought that Cheng Xue was pretending, after all, she had no other injuries except for some wrinkles in her clothes. But seeing Li Hui running to find Dong Lisong, Qingchuan, to be honest with Aunt Lu, did you take action? What can I do? The men in Wanhe village won't hit the women. Li Qingchuan replied impatiently. Qingchuan uncle didn't take any action, but you scolded my mother as mother chicken sick hen. Did you forget? Dia asked softly. There is a school in Wanhe village, and although not everyone can go to study, the meaning of female rooster in the morning is understood by the villagers. Especially for women, this word is the most taboo. Cheng Xue deliberately pinched Dia when she left, so she knew that her mother was fine, so she explained in detail the process of Li Qingchuan and the others coming home to ask for food. The Li people couldn't hold their faces, while the other villagers watched the play with a straight face. Li Qingchuan's sixth aunt, Feng Shi, was so angry that she pinched her nephew fiercely. If you don't restrain yourself, you can sew it up as soon as possible. Iron Egg Lady fell ill after the autumn harvest. You really made her angry at least. Li Hui can play with you for life. You useless bastard, why are you still waiting? Come with me to the east to see. Feng was cursing and pushing, just wanting to get away from here as soon as possible. Even if the Li family members are concerned about things from the Li Hui family, it cannot be openly stated that they all want face. The villagers, seeing that the excitement had subsided, spontaneously followed behind and shifted their positions. Dia and others walked away, closed the courtyard door, hummed and went back to the house to cook. After Dong Lisong's treatment, Cheng Xue finally woke up leisurely. Li Hui yelled, Xuanyang, daughter-in-law, my life, in order to maintain his reputation, causing Cheng Xue to get goosebumps all over her body before giving up. Although Dong Lisong knew that the young couple were in trouble, Li Hui's wife's health was really not good. Huizi, hurry up and take your wife to the town for medical treatment. The losses are too severe. I was lucky enough to save her once, but I won't be so lucky next time. Okay, thank you, Uncle Dong. I've taken note of everything and I'll take her tomorrow. Li Hui stood up and thanked Dong Cheng's wife repeatedly, then clasped his fists and arched his hand. Could you please take my wife back later, sister. Law. I have something else to attend to. Okay, leave it to me, your wife. Hurry up and get busy, Sue replied with a full mouth. When she saw everyone out of the room and returned to the Kong, she lowered her voice and said. Did you two finally wake up? I thought you had to keep being cowardly. Should we leave now or wait a little longer? Cheng Xue couldn't leave now as she listened in a mist. Sue is also from this village, and has grown up with the original owner since childhood. He is a straightforward and talkative person. Sure enough, she didn't bring it home, and Sue was like pouring beans, telling her exactly what she wanted to know. You didn't look, Huizi questioned Li Qingyan at the forest farm. It was really arrogant. The shopkeeper not only dismissed Li Qingyan, but also asked Huizi to continue working at the forest farm tomorrow. I came back with Huizi, but he went to find Li Zheng. Later, he went to my house and communicated with my father. Law. I brought you here in less than an hour, and it's really all under his control. Who the hell is a scholar? This calculation, this city government, powerful. Upon hearing this, Cheng Xue felt secretly happy. Originally, she was in trouble and had to fight alone. I didn't expect that God would favor her with a divine teammate. It's really amazing. After the matter is resolved, make a contract with him, and after the child is raised, each one will be carefree. Well, not bad, she can't hold back any longer. Iron egg mother, iron egg mother. Ah. What's wrong? What's wrong? I asked you what you're thinking, with a smile on your face. There were only two of them in the room, and Sue had no taboos when speaking. Cheng Xue's face was hot, she shook her head randomly and got up to put on her shoes. Dong Lisong was tinkering with his herbs in the courtyard, and when the two of them came out, he once again reminded them. Iron egg mother, your body is suffering greatly. If left untreated, it will affect your longevity. Don't worry, Uncle Dong. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Follow her rules. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Follow her rules. Cheng Xue was escorted by Sue to her doorstep before she could be invited to sit down, so she went to the next door. That is her mother's family, and I think it was also Li Hui's family back then. Back then, Li Hui's father disregarded the obstruction of his family and forcibly pushed down Sanjin's ancestral home, dividing the homestead into 3 parts. One was kept for oneself, one was given to Li Zheng, and the other was sold to Sue's father. Su Dagua. This is also the real reason why the clan targeted the Li Hui family and they were still able to establish themselves in the village. The Li family's house is well built, facing north and south, with 5 tiled houses and warehouses on both sides. One is for storing grain, and the other is for storing firewood. The huge backyard is also divided into 2 halves, half growing vegetables and half raising chickens. There are 20 hens at home, and the 3 children hardly eat eggs, which is really ironic. Mom's back. Where's my dad? Looking back, it was Daya, holding a basin in her hand, knowing that she was here to pick up eggs. Your father is busy. Has Arya and Sidon woken up? Wake up, let's play on the Kong in the east room. Daya picked up eggs while speaking, her movements were very agile. I don't know which kid will marry her so well in the future. Returning to the house, Cheng Xue carried 4 eggs and went to the western house to breastfeed. Even if she accepts the status of a mother, she is still not used to showing off in front of her children. Looking at the little one struggling to absorb, I once again admire the greatness of women. The door pushed open, and Arya came in with a smile. She took off her shoes and sat behind her, saying, Mom, lean on it, it's not tiring. Such a thoughtful little cotton jacket is truly lovable and pitiful. Looking at the equally skinny little girl, I once again aspire to take care of the children and keep them healthy. Mother is not tired, just accompany her with Arya. As she finished speaking, her eyebrows furrowed slightly. The name Arya was too tacky. In the Liangyan farming family, most of the girls give a nickname to get married, followed by a certain family. As for the boy, the original owner was afraid that his son would not be easy to raise, so he took a nickname and waited until he was 7 years old before speaking. Now that she takes over everything, she has to follow her rules. Girls and sons are the same, they must be well pampered. For eggs are full and looking for their sister. The two children are on the Kong in the western room, chatting with each other one by one. The outer room was shrouded in mist, and the fragrance was overflowing. Dia sat by the stove, focused on reading. She only learned to read with Li Hui with Iron Egg this year, a bit late, but fortunately the original owner didn't stop her. In fact, the little girl had requested it since she was 6 years old, but the original owner was afraid of delaying Li Hui's studies, so she didn't let it go. In fact, the original owner also recognized characters from her husband and could teach them by herself, but I don't know what she thinks. In the past, she took the book away and looked at the convoluted hieroglyphs on it. Fortunately, she had a memory, otherwise she would be illiterate at this moment. Mom, I don't know a few words. Can you teach me? Cheng Xue shook her head and saw the child's eyes full of injuries. She smiled and said, I want to learn from Ming'er to teach you during the day, but I can't do it now. The fire burns my eyes. Watching her transition from sadness to joy, the little girl finally stood up and asked. Really, Mom? Mom really taught me. Cheng Xue nodded indulgently and said, You are my daughter. Who won't teach you? Where is Iron Egg? Where has she gone? We're going to eat now, I'll ask him to see if Dad's busy or not. As he was speaking, there was a sound coming from outside, and then Iron Egg ran into the house, followed by Li Hui. They came near noon, and it was already dark at this moment. There have been many things that happened in half a day, and we need to review them thoroughly after dinner. The dinner was sumptuous, with cabbage, tofu, and vermicelli added to the stewed fish, and a 3-sided pancake was also pasted on the edge of the pot. Sanha noodles are mainly made of millet flour and bean flour, with a little white flour added. Good taste, full and nutritious. For eggs can't be eaten, but it doesn't stop him from picking the table. Don't look at the small one, it has a strong perseverance. Every time Li Hui picked him up, the little one would flip over and roll back. Dia felt sorry for her younger brother, and when she saw him struggling, she dipped her chopsticks in fish soup to feed him. It's too late for Cheng Xue to stop. The original owner of the house has done the same before, and it's not wrong for the child to draw gourds and ladles. Seeing that she still wanted to give, she quickly spoke up to stop. Don't, just take a bite, he's full. Dia took back her chopsticks and said, Mom, will you see Dan tomorrow morning? Before drinking the soup medicine, I will feed him again and then give him millet soup. It can melt half of the egg yolk, and I will make it then. No need, I can. Dia said as she put down her chopsticks and went to the west room to play with her 4 eggs. Upon seeing this, Iron Egg began to snore and eat, while Arya struggled to fill her mouth with rice. It was evident that Dia was not fully satisfied, and Cheng Xue was pleased that the 2 little ones were sensible, but also felt sorry for Dia's efforts. Put the meat with the selected fish bones into an area bowl, and add a piece of fish belly to the Iron Egg. Remind. Eat slowly and pay attention to the fish bones. You don't need it, Mom will go and replace your sister. Iron Egg couldn't help but shake his head. Before he could swallow what was in his mouth, Li Hui put down his chopsticks and went out. Not long after, he came back with 4 eggs in his arms, and Dia returned to the dining table. The 2 little ones are not in a hurry anymore, and the siblings will share a cake to eat. Cheng Xue finished eating and put down her chopsticks, then said to Li Hui. Give me the child and you'll have some more to eat. No need, I'm full. Then give me the children too, you can give them names. You can't just recite books. My daughter is still called Daya, or Arya, it's too tacky. Coming from a time and space, some aesthetics and values are still very consistent. Li Hui sat on the Kong with his baby in his arms. Naming doesn't delay holding the child. In the future, you should hold less. Did you forget the doctor's advice? Cheng Xue's heart shook. Although she knew he was maintaining his character, the sudden concern caught her off guard. Did your son tell you? I said it. The mournful tone immediately made Cheng Xue chuckle softly. They are both trapped in their bodies, although their consciousness and thoughts are their own, many emotions and reactions are still the same. It is estimated that he will have to wait for fusion for a long time to truly belong to himself, and his taste at this moment is also normal. Shy or not, since ancient times, sons have always loved their mothers, and I also eat my jealousy. Hurry up and think of a name, I don't want to call them Big Ya or Iron Egg anymore. Li Hui also found it fun, chuckled and shook his head, adjusting his mindset. There were many things that happened today, and I believe you also noticed that I have changed. To be honest, when I was knocked unconscious, I saw my mother. The old lady scolded me severely, saying that I am not a good father, not a good husband, not a good man. Li Hui carefully made up the story, and Daya and Tai Dan's eyes turned red upon hearing it. Even Cheng Xue had a sore nose and hot eyes, and tears couldn't stop flowing out. This is an instinctive reaction of the body, and after suffering for so long, it finally pays off. It is moved. Arya saw her mother crying, put down the spoon, leaned over to sit in her arms, and casually helped wipe away her tears. After walking through the gates of hell, I finally understood how bad I used to be. So when I woke up, I went to the forest farm and admitted my mistake to the other side. The shopkeeper saw my sincere attitude and promised me to continue working tomorrow. I have also solved the issue of family grain, and we don't need to pay it in the future. I will continue to work as a doorstep and not let you face any more difficulties. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. A New Beginning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. A New Beginning. I also want to be a man who supports his family, Iron Egg responded loudly. Daya didn't make a sound, but her eyes were filled with excitement and couldn't cover it up. Li Hui saw that the effect was good and continued to say. Today is a new beginning for our family. I plan to take your grandfather as my ancestor and establish a new family tree instead of entering the family tree. I will start from the today, and you will follow the heart. My daughter's name is Li Yu, and you have suffered in recent years. Therefore, my father hopes that you can please yourself and your heart, and have a worry-free life. Cheng Xue agreed with what he said and touched the child's hair, saying, Mom, give you another milk name, called Tang Tang. After eating so much bitterness, it's time for you to enjoy it all. Well, thank you, mother. Arya is called Li Tian, calm and contented, with no worries. Her nickname is Tian Tian. Tai Dan is called Li Heng, as constant as the moon and rising as the sun. Dad hopes you take on the responsibility of being the eldest brother. As for Si Dan, he is blessed, and both his brother and sister dote on him. Let's call him Li Huai. Huai, Xingsheng, the original meaning is to miss, to cherish. Their real parents are no longer there, and it is only natural for the little one to remember them by name. The name was taken down, and Cheng Xue continued to speak. Since your father said today is a new beginning, let's join in the fun. Starting tomorrow, each person in our family will have an egg every morning and we are not allowed to be picky eaters. During the day, I teach you how to read, and at night, Tang Tang and Hunga go to the study to study. Going out to play is possible, but not going up the mountain, down the river, or by the river. That's you, Li Heng. The little guy who was cued nodded incessantly, afraid to defend himself. Li Yu wanted to say not to eat eggs and keep them for money, but she swallowed them back when the words reached her mouth. Eat it, anyway, there are plenty of chickens and eggs at home. Eating eggs can nourish the body. It was night, and Cheng Xue, who was sleeping soundly, felt someone patting her, go to the study. Feeling a bit confused, just as he was about to ask who it was, Li Huai in his arms couldn't help but snort and rolled over to the side. So, completely awake, tuck the corners of the blankets for the two sons and tiptoe out. In the study, Li Hui has lit the candle, and when she enters, she will directly lock the door. A room of over 20 square meters, with bookshelves stacked on both sides, filled with books. This is all uploaded by Li Huizu. The clan has been scheming for them, but the original owner did not respond. As long as it involves Li Hui studying, she is still very principled. Neither of them spoke, scanning the bookshelf one by one. Cheng Xue found 6 books on medical skills on the shelf, 2 of which are still solitary books, specializing in the treatment of gynecological diseases. I'm really dozing off. Someone gave me a pillow, whatever I want. Have you ever taken traditional Chinese medicine? Cheng Xue nodded with a sound. I only learned the basics, so it shouldn't be difficult to pick it up. Where were you when the incident occurred? Why did you come too? Behind you, Li Hui replied, neither of us can hide when the cement board comes down, so I'll protect you under me. Oh, in that case, you still have the grace to save my life. Well, you can say that. The two looked at each other and chuckled softly. After laughing, Li Hui pulled her sleeve and went to the northeast corner of the study, which was used by the original owner to rest when he was tired of studying. Remove the bedding and 2 large camphor wood boxes come into view. The carved patterns are exquisite and look like antiques. Li Hui took out the keys and opened each box one by one. I'll go, it's posted. Cheng Xue was startled and shouted loudly, so she decided to have only the 2 of them in the room at midnight, and was not afraid of being exposed. Indeed. So rest assured to take the medicine, money is not a problem. Li Hui sat on the ground. Cheng Xue picked up a gold bar and still couldn't believe it. Why hide so much? Indeed, it is natural for men to hide themselves. Don't knock over a boat of people with one stick. I don't even have a partner and don't hide anything. Quickly explain, where did it come from? Li Hui spread his hand and truthfully reported. The main reason is that your original identity is not simple. The old lady was afraid that her son would suffer losses and secretly kept it. However, this kid is a romantic brain and is determined to wait for your original identity to recognize your ancestors and use them to rehire. Emma, an infatuated man. Cheng Xue finished speaking, feeling lonely and murmuring, if she doesn't hide her condition from your original owner, she probably won't die. Then we can't say where we're going to wear it. Li Hui jokingly threw the key to her and said, to be serious, I'll give you the key. From now on, you'll be in charge of everything outside and inside, as well as your family and children. What about you? What are you doing? What can I do? I'll endure hardships and wait for the opportunity. Anyway, I can't stay in this place. Cheng Xue understood his intention, but upon careful consideration, she still shook her head. Dude, it's not me pouring cold water on you. We can't act rashly in this world of deceit. A single thread doesn't make a thread, a single tree doesn't make a forest, is not as simple as it seems. So I want to take the imperial examination and use public positions to transfer and jump on the map. I can't take the imperial examination, I must become an official. Although no one bullied them during the imperial examination, as long as they were still in Wanhe village, they were still members of the Li family. He was unwilling to accept the preferential treatment given by the Li family. Cheng Xue threw the gold bar back into the box and got up to the table to write with a pen and paper. At present, it cannot be separated, but once he gets promoted and wealthy in high school and dies his wife, she has to guard against it. 15 minutes later, she put down her pen, checked it from beginning to end, and nodded in satisfaction. The general meaning of the jishu is If Li Hui takes a concubine or marries a concubine, her children and property will belong to her, and Li Hui will leave the house clean. Take a look, if there's no problem, just sign and fingerprint. Li Hui's face turned black just now, and he wished he could squeeze her to death. Are you sure you want me to press the fingerprint? Sister, we came from the same place, so you just want to fly alone. Are you not afraid of being burned to death? Cheng Xue hurriedly shook her head and pointed to the word "if" to explain. Once you engage in any subsequent behavior, this binding agreement will only be effective. As long as you are in the village, we must not leave. I am afraid of death. Li Hui's teeth are itching with anger. Then let's wait until I qualify for the palace examination. Hurry up. Li Hui picked up the cut-knot book and placed it directly on the top shelf. Cheng Xue was right to think about it and didn't force her anymore. Internal harmony is very important, but if there is a barrier due to this, it may not be good. Hey buddy, my modern name is Cheng Xue, and I'm the same age as the original owner. What about you? I'm the same age as him, so my name is Li Hui. Mom, he's still a little brother. The undisguised expression left Li Hui speechless. What kind of immortal species is this? If you don't take it seriously, you will pull a calf. Think carefully, who exactly is your original owner's family? She must be quite complicated. When the Li couple saved her back then, Li Hui was too young to remember anything. The little girl woke up and said her name was Xue, 4 years old, but she forgot her surname. Whether I really forget or don't want to say it has always been a mystery. Cheng Xue struggled to search for memories, then shook her head in confusion. No, not at all. But today when I went to buy something, the court officials said that the carving on the bracelet is very exquisite and belongs to a wealthy family. It's worth 70 taels. If you had given me these things earlier, I wouldn't have done it. At least that's her private property, using justice. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Only the most shameful. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Only the most shameful. Li Hui speculated that her original owner should also be named Cheng Xue, but there are too many people with the surname Cheng in Liangyan. How can they be considered wealthy families? Hey, what are you thinking? It's nothing, Li Hui shook his head. I knew you were a dowry, but I couldn't stop you. And at that time, my memory was confused and I didn't know about it, so that's why. Oh, I'll just casually say, why are you being more serious? Besides, you gave me the keys. I'll spend the money as I want. Don't do this, I'm under pressure. Li Hui didn't notice any pressure on her and smiled lightly, shaking his head. You can spend this money whatever you want, but one thing is, take care of your body first. Don't worry, I'm risking my life to live up to the modern age, Cheng Xue said with a smile. Hey, how about we buy a house in the county? Although we can't move in, you can stay for a few days during the spring festival exam, it's better than staying at an inn. Li Hui felt it was feasible and nodded in agreement. Let's wait for the snow to fall and have the county doctor give you a good inspection. Just write your name when buying a house, which can also be considered a reassuring pill for you. Don't worry, promotion, wealth, and death of your wife is not something that Li Hui can do. I am a soldier. After speaking, he turned around and locked the camphor wood box, then spread the bedding again. Cheng Xue felt ashamed at the moment, wishing to find a crack in the ground to crawl in. I'm sorry. It's my narrow-minded nature, a petty person's heart surpasses a gentleman's belly. I was wrong, younger brother. Whose younger brother is it called? Li Hui was shocked. Is it okay to call him brother? I was wrong, brother. Cheng Xue could not compromise and sincerely apologize again. Li Hui was so amused by her commotion that he couldn't bear to cry or laugh. In the end, he could only pull on her sleeve, blow out the candle, and return to his room to rest. The next day, Cheng Xue stood at the last nanny post and finally retired with honor. Li Yu had already handed over the medicine and looked at the sour-smelling liquid in the bowl. Cheng Xue pinched her nose and drank it all in one gulp. It's hard to drink, but for the sake of survival, she endured it. Looking at the pumpkin candy in the child's palm, Cheng Xue really felt that it was because she had accumulated virtue as a doctor that she traveled here. No in-laws, no sister-in-law, for children are sensible and obedient, ensuring the top of the food chain. Stuff the sugar into Li Yu's mouth and smile, saying, "Mother is an adult, why use this? Iron Egg went out to find your father." The names of the two boys have not changed, they are more sturdy and seek peace of mind. Iron Egg said he went to bundle firewood in the field, so he probably didn't go find my dad. Mom, when we eat steamed buns in the morning, are the eggs still cooked? Should we eat with my dad or wait until it's already time? Let's eat together. In the future, our family will also have 3 meals, just like in the forest farm. No matter what we eat in the morning, we will cook the eggs. Don't let it be a big deal, Mom is a living example. A pair of medicine is so expensive, just take it for a day. It's really heartbreaking. You're fine, as long as your mother can recover from her illness, Li Yu said and went out to cook. Cheng Xue took out all the bedding at home and prepared a few to put together, making them thicker. The original owner dealt with everything except her husband's reading supplies. Dealing with food, dressing, and using more. The mattress is a thin layer, and the Kong is already hard. Coupled with being thin, sleeping overnight feels like torture, which is particularly uncomfortable. Just as he was doing it, the sound of door opening came from the courtyard, and Li Hui returned. Where did Dad get the car? Where's Iron Egg? Bundling firewood in the field. I borrowed it from Li Zheng's family. When Cheng Xue came out, she saw Li Hui's face turn pale. Taking advantage of Li Yu's time carrying firewood to the warehouse, she quickly went over and whispered a reminder. Take it easy, don't tire yourself out. You can't chew too much. Well, I have a plan in mind. There were only 6 bundles pushed in total. 9-year-old Li Yu moved twice without blushing or panting, while he's not even more shameful now, only the most shameful. Dad, come in and rest for a while. You don't need the firewood in the field. After dinner, I'll take the iron eggs and there's not much left. Li Hui, who was deeply affected, could not obediently return to his room to rest and expressionlessly pushed the empty cart away. Li Yu wanted to chase the person back, but was stopped by Cheng Xue. Mom! Let your father go, you can't just curse him for nothing. He also wants to do something for this family. As the words fell, a piercing sound came from the next door, whose milk, Iron Egg mother. She can't be your mother-in-law, can she? Su Dogwa's wife, Cheng Xue, stood by the courtyard wall and asked after her. Liang Yanbei is particularly fond of dancing with great gods, inviting immortal families, and daydreaming, which are also hot topics discussed in the village after tea and dinner. Cheng Xue had noticed her a long time ago, so she deliberately said that just now. She is a famous loudspeaker in the village, and through her mouth, she can achieve twice the result with half the effort. Ah, it's Aunt Su. Why are you up so early? Tang, come in and cook. We'll have it when your dad comes back. Gung was already shocked to hear Tang, and when he saw Li Yu enter the room, he immediately felt like he had come to work. Throw down the sentence, don't move, and push the door over the next second. What's going on, Iron Egg mother? Why is Jia called Tang? You just said you were daydreaming. Did your mother-in-law daydream when Huizi was hit yesterday? Oh, this old woman is quite capable of brain boosting. Cheng Xue deliberately hesitated, and Cheng Xue became even more determined in her thoughts. Look at you, we're not outsiders. Living so close, are you still hiding from me? Tell me quickly, what's going on? Although the two families are close together, they rarely move around on weekdays. She is obedient to Geng's naturally familiar attitude, which ordinary people really cannot achieve. Let me tell you, yesterday my daughter came back and talked about your Huizi. If it weren't for the recent silence in your family, I would have thought someone had taken him away. To be honest with my aunt, what's going on? I guessed that Sue would tell her mother when she came home yesterday, and as expected. Since my aunt has guessed everything, I won't hide it from you. Yesterday, when Huizi was hit, she did dream of my mother. Law. The old lady scolded him a lot and finally woke him up. Yesterday, she named the children but didn't follow the family tree. Cheng Xue added fuel and vinegar to explain the matter, and Geng finally calmed down when she heard what she wanted to know. Just say it's not up to Huizi to figure it out on her own. My daughter said something like, a scholar is smart. Can intelligence still be bullied like this by your tribe? It must be your mother. Law, that old guy is amazing. Not following the genealogy is correct, and even Huizi has not left. If it weren't for your mother. Law's insistence on not following the clan name back then, Huizi would have been able to stand still. 6 of them, all gone. I still remember your mother. Law crying, oh, there's still this matter. There is none in Cheng Xue's memory. I don't know if there is one on Li Hui's side. Alright, I'll go home and cook. Are you busy too? Auntie, please sit down for a while longer. No, let's go. Cheng Xue escorted her out, but before she could close the courtyard door, she heard someone coming from next door. Old man, Li Yuan's family had a dream for Huizi yesterday, so I said our daughter's story was not right. Alas, it really doesn't delay for a moment. Once you know it, you must spread it. Cheng Xue smiled and closed the courtyard door, looking at the 5 main rooms at home, pondering how to make use of them. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Gradually entering a better era. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Gradually entering a better era. 5 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Cheng Xue and Li Hui gradually entered a better state. Every morning, Li Hui takes Li Heng out for exercise, takes a jog around the village, and then comes back to eat. Go to work after dinner and come back in the evening. Cheng Xue is tutoring 3 children to read at home. Let's tidy up and tidy up. 1 day has passed. After drinking soup and medicine for 5 days, I clearly feel that my body has improved. Last time we came to town with Li Heng, it took us half an hour. This time there is only 1 stick of incense. And he still carried over 6 pounds of things on his body, without feeling tired. To enter the city, first look for the 4 links bank. This was specifically asked by Li Hui to the forest farm manager. The bank was opened by the Liang Yen court, and although the price was higher, it was guaranteed that the silver bills would not become worthless in an instant. Carrying the silver banknotes and feeling relaxed, she started the buy mode. Unlike last time I came to town, although this time I was also comparing prices, I didn't hesitate to search. Cotton cloth, large bathtub, roasted chicken, pork, river carp, vegetables, seasoning, burning knife. The forest farm is resting today, and Li Hui has invited Dong Cheng and Guodake to work at home. As a modern person, I can't stand taking a shower every few months. So after discussion, it was decided to demolish the Kong in the first room on the west end, rebuild the fire wall, and convert it into a bathroom. I bought a lot of meat, and I am grateful for everything from last time. The hired car was still the mule cart from last time. The driver remembered her and greeted her, saying, "The young lady seems to be more energetic and healthy today. Thank you for thinking about it. It's much better now." The coachman helped to move all the things onto the car and went to the steward's office to register and obtain the license plate. They need to keep a record of every trip they make, and not everyone does it. They need to know the root cause and have a guarantee before they can proceed. Cheng Xue put cotton cloth, vegetable seeds, and other items into the bathtub. This not only saves space, but also makes the bathtub stable. After leaving the city, the driver chatted with her and talked about many recent events in other villages. What? This village daughter.in.law went back to her mother's house, that village sister.in.law got into a fight, and when other villages were jumping on the bandwagon, they set the house on fire. All the topics we talk about are either family background or inviting immortal families. She just listens to it and occasionally expresses her personal opinion. The young lady is right. Her family is not tough, so naturally her husband's family doesn't take his wife seriously. Anyway, if the Lao Zhao family were to challenge my daughter like this, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it. How old is the eldest brother's daughter? There's no daughter, my family has 6 kids. Another one, you can summon the divine dragon now. Talking about Xiao Xiao returning to Wanhe village, just like last time, the mule cart took a detour back home. Help carry things into the house and ask for a bowl of water to drink. I guess there's too much to say. Cheng Xue watched him drive away before going to the study to hide the silver ticket. The price of the house in the county is unclear, but they have decided to exchange it for 500 yuan as a backup, preferably more or less. Don't be fooled by the large amount of money left, such as 2 dowries, and going to Beijing for exams, all of which require money. Today I heard all these gossip, mostly about mother.in.law sparring with daughter.in.law. She has 2 daughters and needs skills to support them. Looking at the medical book on the table, I decided to start working hard after finishing this task and first thoroughly read the book about gynecology. Women from wealthy households in deep houses tend to avoid seeking medical treatment when they get sick. But if the doctor is a woman, then there is no need to worry, he can say anything. The study was locked back to the main room, and Li Yu was looking at the pork belly on the stove, his mouth twitching fiercely. Mom, why buy so much meat? It's quite a lot of money, isn't it? Visually, it weighs over 10 pounds and costs over 1 or 2 taels of silver. It's rare to find you, Uncle Dong and Uncle Gua, to come over for dinner. You have enough meat, enough to eat. Not to mention, it's cold and can be stored. The rest is stir-fried with heavy salt, and in the future, some of the stir-fried dishes will be fragrant. Cheng Xue said as she cut the meat. Motivation is about raising children's weight, not just thinking about it, but putting it into action. Tang, take the iron egg to pick the beans and collect the rack along the way. Oh, good. Li Yu went out to work. Cheng Xue brought a large basin, spread a thick small cushion, and put Li Huai inside, letting Li Tian sit outside and watch. After weaning, Li Huai clearly grasps rice. Although he eats very single, he can eat half a bowl of millet soup with egg yolks in it. Cooking while watching the children, feeling at ease in my heart. Braised pork belly and fish are stewed first, then the leftover meat is fried out with a small stove, and the oil and meat are put into the jar together. Li Yu picked 3 baskets of beans and 2 baskets of eggplants, all piled up in the yard. Cheng Xue took a basin and went out to pick, leaving the rest to be dried with shredded vegetables and pickled with garlic and eggplant. Hoarding vegetables is a habit left by our ancestors, which can be developed and expanded, as well as adding some samples. Oh, Iron Egg Mother is busy. Clan leader Li Fang pushed the door into the courtyard as he spoke. Cheng Xue pointed to the nearby stool and said, Uncle Heir, what's up? 5 whole days passed after that day, and I thought the old man could endure it any longer, but I didn't expect him to rush here. Li Fang let out a heavy sigh and deliberately sarcastically said. Speaking in the yard. The new rules in your family. Under the vigorous promotion of the Su Gung family, almost everyone in the village knew that the 4 children of the Li family were named without going through the family tree. Cheng Xue focused on picking beans and eggplants, without looking up. Uncle Heir's chatter is really interesting. What rules and regulations are there? The old farmer is not so particular. If Uncle Heir is not used to it, let's go in and talk. I'm just busy cooking. You're talking about this, how can I come in? Let's just say that. Ah, that's okay, Cheng Xue continued to work, still not looking at him. Li Fong couldn't get into a fit of anger, leaving only a dull and suffocating feeling. It's like this, Iron Egg is 7 years old for the Chinese New Year. When do you plan to let him enter the ethnic school? What I mean is to send him off tomorrow, the earlier the enlightenment, the better. He's not tired. Cheng Xue raised her head this time, pretending to be regretful and saying, "Thank you, Uncle Heir, but this kid is indecisive and can't be delivered. Yesterday, he even used water to fill the mouse hole in the warehouse, and asked me to give him a good beating." It was indeed a matter of filling the mouse hole, but she didn't do it and continued to do it together. Li Fong's eyes rolled and he didn't mind waving his hand. At the age of 7 or 8, there is no child who doesn't play around. You can rest assured to take care of your child. Never mind, I won't give it away, Cheng Xue interrupted him. If he accidentally bumped or dropped something from the ethnic school, I won't have the money to compensate. It's okay, what else are you worried about when I'm there? Li Fong insisted. You're the only one who's worried. Cheng Xue pouted and continued to shake her head. No, Uncle Heir, wait 2 more years for him to determine. I'm sick and taking medicine now, and I've spent a lot of money. He's going to cause me some unnecessary famine, and I can't bear it. If it weren't for the presence of a scholar, this old guy wouldn't have been able to become a clan leader or manage clan studies. Looking shrewd, in fact, there is not much in mind. All the little tricks are on their faces and they treat everyone like fools. It's not that serious, you see. Uncle Heir, I'm really busy today. I won't talk to you anymore. I need to hurry up and cook. After Cheng Xue finished speaking, she got up and left without giving him a chance to stop her. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Inviting Guests. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Inviting guests. In just half a day, Li Hui and the 3 of them completed the renovation of Shijian. Of course, Dong Cheng and Guo are the main players, and Li Hui is just a chip off. Move the western firewall forward a few inches and build 2 large stoves. The shelves inside were moved to the outer room, and the large bathtub was placed inside. Dong Cheng opened the front and rear windows and said, "Tomorrow we'll light the fire and dry it at noon, and then we can use it normally at night. It's still up to you 2 to figure it out and create a separate room. That's also because we have a small population. It's not possible for our families to have a dedicated room for bathing," Guo said as he looked, his eyes filled with envy. They both live with their parents and have no separate families. Dong Cheng is stronger than Guo. At least the couple has their own house and doesn't live with their children. Guo can't do it anymore. A family of 4 sleeps on the same Kong, which is also why he has the fewest children. Returning to the east room, Li Yu had already prepared the dishes. Braised pork belly stewed with potatoes, streaky pork stewed with beans, stewed fish, braised chicken, boiled eggs, cold mixed eggplant. 6 dishes, the only vegetarian one is cold eggplant, but it is particularly abundant. Oh my little sister, this is too lucky. Guo was a bit at a loss. Dong Cheng didn't want to go up to the Kong and said, "Your dish is too hard, I'm afraid it might hurt my teeth." Stop messing around, big brothers. You've been busy all morning, and last time you carried Huizi back, I don't think it's enough. Hurry up and eat more on the Kong, don't be polite. After Cheng Xue finished speaking and didn't leave much, she took back the hot burning knife and placed it on the table, saying, "Open up and drink, all afternoon long, just lie here and sleep if you drink too much." "Okay, thank you, siblings." The 2 of them smiled and thanked each other, then looked at Li Hui with meaningful eyes. The whole village couldn't find such a willing little daughter. In law, it has to be said that he is truly blessed. Cheng Xue returned to the west room, and the dishes in both rooms were the same, better than the Li family's New Year's Eve dinner. Li Heng looked at him with sparkling eyes and couldn't believe it, saying, "Mom, do we really?" Really eat these. Just eat whatever you want. I didn't dream. Then pinch yourself and see if it hurts. Cheng Xue deliberately joked, but to her surprise, Li Heng really pinched herself. Hiss. Pinch it lightly, why are you so strong? Cheng Xue was speechless, pulling his arm and gently kneading it. You, don't be so unproductive. You can only eat 4 dishes, you can also eat 6. Li Yu smiled and put the vegetables into Cheng Xue's bowl, while also putting chicken legs for her younger brother and sister. Cheng Xue specially bought 2 roasted chickens to satisfy the children's appetite. Li Heng put a piece of braised pork belly in his mouth and said, "Ah, ah," while chewing. In the end, Li Yu couldn't bear to listen and slapped him, only then did she restrain herself. Li Huai was sleeping soundly, without his disturbance, and the 4 of them ate very peacefully and contentedly. Cheng Xue went to the east room to take a look after her full meal, but she was still eating here. Dong Cheng and Guodake turned red after drinking, while Li Hui remained calm and composed. The mixed eggplant on the table is gone, and most of the meat, fish, and roasted chicken have also been moved, but there are more left than in the Western house. Li Hui pulled her to the front and lowered his voice, saying, "Fry some peanuts and mix with 2 cold dishes. Remove these, they're too cold to eat anymore. When drinking alcohol to a certain extent, you don't want to eat big fish and meat anymore. It's best to eat some refreshing side dishes." When Cheng Xue didn't go out much, she brought fried peanuts, pickled cucumbers, cold eggplants, and soy sauce tofu to the table. "Oh my little sister, you're too talented. When I go back, I have to let my family learn from you. Yeah, this eggplant is delicious to mix. If you have time, teach my wife. Xiangni always brushes the pan when cooking, it's not delicious." Dong Cheng is really drunk, his voice is louder than usual, and he even calls his wife by her nickname. Eggplant is not a precious thing. Third brother and big brother can come over and make it for you anytime they want. Even if Xuanzinyang cooks, it's like brushing a pot of water. It's not like that, Lao Nan. Hiccup. Eat it, hee hee. Cheng Xue took away the cool dishes and casually closed the door to the east room. Fortunately, Dong Su didn't hear him, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to scratch him. When they got married, there were ups and downs. If it weren't for Li Zheng's wife coming forward, I'm afraid they wouldn't have come together at all. In the west room, Li Yu has already started cutting cloth. Cheng Xue walked over to the Kong with a smile and praised it. "My daughter is just a talent guide, she does everything well." Li Yuetian gave a faint smile and affectionately rubbed her shoulder, continuing to work. Cheng Xue didn't dare to intervene, even if there was a memory of the original owner. Cotton cloth is too expensive, she is afraid of cutting it out. Dongwu ate until early usher and didn't disperse. Dong Qing drank too much and was helped home by Li Hui and Guodake. The room was in a mess, with a strong smell of alcohol. There's no need to shout, the 2 children come over to work voluntarily. Li Heng propped up the north and south windows for ventilation, while Li Yu picked up tables and washed dishes. Cheng Xue folded the remaining vegetables into a basin, added bran and wheat bran, and went to the backyard to feed the chickens. Some of them don't like laying eggs. She is going to kill them after snow falls. In winter, she will stew pickled Chinese cabbage and mushrooms for children to eat. Li Hui returned after seeing off the person, hung the courtyard door, and headed straight to the west. The stove dries quickly, but the fire wall still needs to be air-dried. Cheng Xue saw him scratching his neck and walked over to say, "How about I boil 2 pots of water for you to wash in the main room? Don't stand up." I went out for exercise for 5 consecutive days, sweating profusely every day and feeling uncomfortable. Forget it, it's not short of this day. Li Hui shook his head, feeling embarrassed to trouble her. Did things go smoothly? How many 4 Links money banks are there in town? 2 of them. The day after tomorrow, I'll go to the town to collect medicine and go to that bank to exchange it. Tomorrow, you go to work and ask the shopkeeper, where is there a dog seller? I've been feeling uneasy lately and feel like something's about to happen. Before traveling, she was materialist, but now she's also a bit idealistic. Li Hui doesn't believe in any sense of sixth sense, but he will follow the instructions given by his teammates. Then give me $2, and if there's something suitable tomorrow, I'll just buy it. Take it yourself. That one key. Li Hui nodded and leaned on his heirs to say. I have agreed that you will be in charge of both my external affairs and your internal affairs. You said that both of us are travelers. Would it be possible for us to stumble on the mountain and pick up 1,000-year-old ginseng like in a female online article? This kind of teasing made Cheng Xue somewhat dissatisfied. What does it mean to be like a female online article? Female online articles also need to be pragmatic. You go up the mountain every day, why don't you give it a try tomorrow? Li Hui chuckled lightly, returning to the point. Did you buy the dishes? What did you buy? I bought almost all the vegetables I usually eat, but I don't have anything like tomatoes and corn. I specifically went to the grocery store to buy vegetables in order to understand the crops here. Although they are not professionals in agriculture and animal husbandry, they still have basic knowledge to avoid misunderstandings and trouble in the future. The expansion of the outer house in the west is also for filling soil and planting vegetables in winter, for children to eat. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Don't bully the poor youth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Don't bully the poor youth. The next day, after breakfast, Cheng Xue brought silver to Li Hui. The sooner you buy a dog, the better. It can't be delayed. She couldn't sleep soundly last night. If she continued to fuss like this, she would drink the soup and medicine in vain. Just as I was about to hand over the money, my heart suddenly quickened and I couldn't breathe well. Then, my body softened and slowly slid down against the cabinet. The tongue is so hard that it cannot move at all, as if it is on the brink of death. Li Hui hugged her tightly and saw her face turn pale, sweating profusely. He grabbed the money and ran away. Before leaving, do not forget to remind Li Yu to take care of the house and take care of her younger siblings. Running all the way to Li Zheng's house to borrow a car, Jiang Jianye couldn't ignore it. First, instruct the youngest son to go to the forest farm to help take leave, and then set up a car to take the couple straight to Deji Hall. There were quite a few people seeking medical treatment in Dejitang early in the morning. Li Hui carried someone into the room and shouted loudly, "Doctor, doctor, come and save my wife." With a loud voice, it immediately caught the attention of everyone in the pharmacy. After recognizing someone among the doctors who were treating Cheng Xue, they quickly took them to the backyard for treatment. Check the pulse, everything is normal. Cheng Xue eased a lot, and when she opened her eyes, she saw Li Hui in panic. "Xuanyang, we are currently in Deji Hall. The doctor who treated you last time is also here. Why don't you feel uncomfortable? Tell me quickly." Li Hui's heart was extremely panicked at the moment, and he was afraid. I finally had a teammate who had the same values. If I had to leave early, I don't know how to face my 2 sons and 2 daughters. The passerby withdrew his hand and looked at Cheng Xue. "Young lady, your body is much better than when you came last time, and there is nothing unusual about it." "How can there be nothing unusual?" Li Hui refused. When she was at home, her face turned pale and her lips turned purple. "It's not that she's okay at all." Cheng Xue noticed that the doctor's expression was not good, so she quickly pulled off his sleeve and said, "To be honest, sir, I have been taking the medicine you prescribed these past few days and I can clearly feel my body recovering. However, after breakfast, my heart suddenly beats faster, my whole body feels weak, and my tongue is so hard that I can't speak." Upon hearing this, the doctor changed his hand and continued to check his pulse. Jiang Jianye tied up his car and approached Li Hui, standing beside him and whispering, "What's going on?" What does the doctor say? Li Hui shook his head and remained silent, his eyes fixed tightly on Lang Zhong and Cheng Xue. Seeing her rosy complexion and lively eyes, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes just now, he would have thought this woman was pretending to be sick. For a long time, the road doctor withdrew his hand and murmured inexplicably. I really didn't notice anything unusual about you, what's the discomfort now? Cheng Xue shook her head honestly, thought for a moment, and said. Last night I didn't sleep very well, had multiple dreams, and woke up early feeling dizzy. But this is the reason. The doctor let out an "oh" and said lightly. As you say, it should be related to sleep. So, if you have 1 day left on your medication, I'll prescribe it for you for another 7 days, and we'll take a look after finishing it. After finishing speaking, he got up and walked to the table, sat down to write. Jiang Jianye only felt bored. Dejitang is the best pharmacy in the town, with countless people coming to see a doctor every day. Our doctor remembers Huizi's wife. It wasn't until he helped to go to the counter to get the medicine that he understood that the price of the medicine could be remembered by any doctor. 7 pairs of medicine, 7 taels of silver, how much money did Li Yuan and his wife leave for them? No wonder Li Fang is so concerned. Bringing the medicine back and seeing that Cheng Xue was completely fine, Jiang Jianye joked. You scared Huizi to death, holding you and running towards my house. You are his backbone, but you need to pay attention to your health. Cheng Xue nodded awkwardly. Sorry to bother Uncle Jiang. What are you doing here? You're better than nothing when you're free. Speaking, he handed the medicine to Li Hui and said. I'll go get a ride, you two wait for me here, go home and rest well, don't let this medicine down. It's too expensive, his family can't afford it anyway. Li Hui stopped Jiang Jianye who was about to leave and asked. Uncle, do you know where there is a dog cellar? It's the kind that can take care of the house. He had nothing but memories of studying and taking scientific exams, so he could be said to be a useless person in life. Do you want to buy a dog? Just go to Dongjie, where there are everything except dogs, mules, sheep, pigs, etc. I'll take you there. Thank you very much, Uncle Jiang. Li Hui solemnly clasped his fists and arched his hand. Jiang Jianye helped him up, lightly patted his shoulder, and turned around to go out. He is also selling well, regardless of whether he will succeed in the scientific examination in the future, don't deceive young people into poverty. The East Street in Shushan town is very wide, and the streets are filled with dogs. Cheng Xue is not familiar with this, but Li Hui has some insights and is chatting with Jiang Jianye while arguing. What kind of waist needs to naturally collapse, what kind of nose needs to be wet, what kind of hind leg forward kick needs to be ready to run at any time, pick and choose, and finally in a corner, Li Hui found a Chinese pastoral dog. The dog's eyes are particularly lively, its nose is damp, and its waist always collapses. Brother, buy a dog. What do you think of me? Don't be fooled by the fact that I'm only 8 months old. I'm so fierce. The dog dealer worked hard to promote. Li Hui squatted down and brushed the dog with his fur. The little thing didn't resist his touch and cooperated very well. But when Jiang Jianye wanted to reach out, it issued a low growl warning. Oh my brother, this little thing is destined for you. Do you want it? Let me give you a cheaper price. How about 500 won? Li Hui touched the dog's chin and shook his head, saying. It's possible, but your price is not sincere. This dog is the only one, right? Don't talk nonsense, it's. Before the dog vendor could finish speaking, Li Hui smiled and said. If it has siblings, it won't wait until August when no one cares. 300 won, if you give it, I'll take it. If you don't, I'll take a look. Upon hearing these words, Jiang Jianye quickly pulled down Li Hui and said. I can't buy it, it's unlucky to be alone. Don't talk nonsense, old man. I'm not. Well, forget it. 301 is 301, pay. Seeing that Li Hui was going to pay the bill, Jiang Jianye could only look at Cheng Xue. Unfortunately, this little daughter-in-law only cares about teasing the dog and doesn't even look at him. The old man let out a long sigh. Holding down Li Hui's hand ready to pay, he said to the dog vendor. Pull a piece off your hem. If the two children don't understand, I understand. Hurry up and pull a piece of cloth. The dog vendor pouted at the words and reluctantly pulled a piece of clothing to hand over. Li Hui doesn't believe these, but the old man is kind-hearted and he needs to be grateful. After paying the bill, Li Hui pinched the hem of his clothes and asked. Uncle, how should we handle this? Go home and bury it under the dog's den. You don't listen to advice at all. Jiang Jianye angrily turned his head and walked forward, while Li Hui and Cheng Xue glanced at each other and followed closely. The old saying goes, 2 cats and 2 dogs, the more you cross. A single dog is unlucky, the busier you cross. However, they don't believe it, as long as the dog is strong and can keep an eye on the house. After returning to the village, Li Hui took Cheng Xue home and reminded the children not to tease the dog before going to work at the forest farm. Just as he entered the forest farm, Dong Chengcheng hurriedly ran over. How's your wife doing? Is she okay? It's okay, it's just that I didn't sleep well last night. Dong Cheng pulled him forward a few steps and then said. Fortunately, you didn't come this morning. That kid Li Qingnian is nothing. He took a few errands from Wang Jiazwang to block you on the road. He thought he was hiding well, but I saw his mother. Please work hard these days and come with me. Li Hui was shocked upon hearing these words. Did you start work late today? End of this chapter.